Welcome! In this tutorial, I will discuss how to read and comprehend a scientific article. Scientific articles are means for researchers and scholars to communicate with each other about their findings. Reading a scientific article helps you to become a part of the conversation within your discipline. You can learn about the research that has been conducted by others in the past, and you can find out the latest trends within your discipline. Moreover, it helps you to get familiar with new research areas in a fast and efficient way. Most scientific articles have a similar structure. In social sciences, scientific articles are usually divided into 6 distinct sections: the abstract, the introduction, the theoretical background, or so-called conceptual framework, the methods, the results, and the general discussion. The abstract is a dense summary of the whole article. A good abstract presents the purpose or rationale of the study and explains why the authors conducted the research. It just tells you what the problem is and why it is important enough for the authors to try to solve it. The abstract also presents how the authors studied the problem, what they found, and what conclusions they drew from the findings. Although it is desirable to read the abstract first when you are searching for relevant articles or when you are trying to get a first grasp of what you are going to read, it will help you to read the abstract again when you are done with the article. In this way, you can verify for yourself whether you have managed to grasp the essentials of the whole article after reading it. The abstract is followed by the introduction. The introduction serves 2 purposes. First, to stimulate interest, and second, to put the article in a larger context. Here the authors present the general importance of the topic. They reveal the problem and why the problem is important. Introductions usually lead readers from general questions, what is already known, to the specific question, what is not yet known, that the authors are asking. Reading the introduction should help you to identify what the big question is of the paper. After having read an introduction, ask yourself not what is this paper about, but instead ask yourself, what problem is this field trying to solve? Try to summarize the background of the problem in 5 sentences or less, and try to identify the specific question of the article. What exactly are authors trying to solve with this research? Most of the times, an article then continues with the theoretical background, or what is sometimes called a conceptual framework. In this section, the authors explain the underlying theories and present their theory and related hypotheses of the article. A hypothesis is an expectation that the authors have developed on the basis of their theory and that the authors will be trying to answer with the studies. The most important part is where the authors present their own theory or hypothesis. This is the new, unique contribution of the article, the central message that cannot be found in any other article. Thus, it is essential for you to know the theory, as this is usually the reason why the lecturer gives you a particular article to read. For example, for a lecture on attitudes, you are supposed to read the article The Theory of Planned Behavior from Isaac Aizon. This article focuses on presenting the new theory on attitudes, namely the theory of planned behavior. After having read this article, you should be able to explain the theory, including the definitions of its main elements, and how the elements relate to each other. As a final recommendation for reading the conceptual framework, you would do well to pay special attention to sentences like we hypothesize, we propose, we introduce, we suggest, we predict, etc. A scientific article typically continues with the empirical section, that is, the methods and the results sections. The method section presents the studies that were done to test the hypothesis of the paper and explains how these studies were done. In the results section, the authors explain what they found in these studies. They present their empirical data and explain whether the data partially or completely supports the proposed theory and the hypothesis. This may, for example, be the presentation of one data set or of multiple data sets, in case multiple studies were conducted. It can also be a summary of existing data sets from other articles. The most important data are often presented in graphs, figures, or tables. For the purposes of this course, you can just skim the methods and results sections. You do not need to remember the numbers, graphs, details of the studies, or in which exact study the support was found. Instead, you should remember the general idea of what support the authors presented. That is, how did the authors test the theory? Did they use lab experiments, interviews, or surveys, or any other method? And how many times did they test the theory? Only once or multiple times? Did they find full support for their theory in their studies? A scientific article usually closes with a general discussion. The discussion section provides a clear answer to the research question posed in the introduction. It also explains how the results support the conclusion. The general discussion section often provides a summary of the newly presented theory and its found support. Furthermore, this section provides suggestions for how the theory has an impact on other research areas and proposes directions for future research. Reading the discussion helps you to put the theory into a broader perspective. However, you should keep in mind that it is written from the eyes of the authors who are very proud of their theory. This means that they might be exaggerating the impact of their theory or might forget some of the weaknesses of their theory or studies. Usually, the general discussion does not present new literature. Hopefully, this tutorial has provided you with enough guidelines on how to read a scientific article so that you do not have to struggle with reading scientific papers in the future. Good luck and have fun with reading them.